The Obama administration's decision to seek $500 million to train and fund moderate elements of the Syrian opposition has been greeted with bipartisan support in Washington. The general consensus is that if the administration had done 3 years ago what it is doing now, the situation in Syria would not have turned into a bloody sectarian civil war. But almost all elements of this conventional wisdom are wrong. The administration is caving into the classic Washington desire to do something in the face of a terrible tragedy without any clear sense as to whether it has the ability to improve things or to make matters worse. Senator Lindsey Graham said, "The Syrian people started this revolution through peaceful demonstrations." He's just one of many to make the case that it only turned sectarian and violent because we allowed things to deteriorate. Graham explained, radical Islamists are hijacking the revolution. In fact, radical Islamists have been the core of the opposition to the Assad regime from the very beginning, decades ago. Bashar al-Assad's father, Hafiz al-Assad, came to power in a coup in 1970 and was the first non-Sunni to rule that country. By the late 1970s, he faced an armed Islamist insurgency that spread across the country's major cities. Between 1979 and 81, it killed more than 300 supporters of the regime in Aleppo alone. Assad in turn ordered crackdowns that killed some 2,000 Islamist opponents. The Islamist terror campaign spread, even moving to Damascus, the capital city, where in November 1981, they exploded a car bomb in the city center that killed 200 people and wounded 500. Then in 1982 came the uprising and the gruesome massacre in the town of Hama, where between 10,000 and 20,000 people, including women and children, were slaughtered by government troops. Since then, the regime has organized itself for war against the Islamists, and they in turn have been preparing for opportunities to war against the regime. Today, according to James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, there are more than 1,500 separate insurgent groups in Syria, with between 75,000 and 115,000 insurgents. In addition, there are 7,500 foreign fighters from neighboring countries. The most effective groups are all radical Islamist groups: ISIS, Ahrar al-Sham, and Jabhat al-Nusra. But now, Washington is going to vet this vast, dispersed opposition of 1,500 groups when it is not even on the battlefield and find moderates. Good luck. The complexity of Washington's task can be seen in the American attitude towards ISIS. When the group battles the Maliki government in Iraq, it is a deadly foe of the United States and must be ruthlessly attacked. But when it crosses the now non-existent border between Iraq and Syria and battles the Assad regime, it is aligned with America's stated goal of regime change in Damascus. With this whole history of sectarian conflict in mind, it's difficult to believe that 3 years ago, a modest American intervention of arms and training, which is all that was being advocated, would have changed the trajectory of events in Syria. But the past is the past. Can anyone really believe that now a modest American intervention of arms and training is going to find genuine Democrats in the maelstrom, help them win against Assad and also against the radicals, and also stabilize Syria? Or is Washington's new activism more likely to throw fuel onto a raging fire? For more, go to cnn.com/Fareed and read my Washington Post column this week.